Hi guys, this is part 3 of What If My Hero Academia, Civil War MHA AU, and sorry for the delay. So let's begin. Chapter 7, Toxic Opponent. Lackey 1, boss. I hate to admit it but we're in kinda of a tough pinch. Got any way out? Lackey 2, we are so screwed. Shin, we're not screwed, and if I did, I would have told you by now. If any case, use your quirks and protect me. The leftover guards understood their orders and acted upon it. Each of their own readies as one unmasks his mask while the other's hands shifted into a makeshift gun. Take this, ya brats. Aiming his guns, he rapidly shoots towards the man who doesn't have a mask on. Seeing the oncoming bullets, Dobby figured he could block it with a wall of blue fire. He manages to engulf most of the bullets before it has a chance to reach him, emphasis on the word, most. Unable to catch all of them, Dobby felt a pressurized sting on his left arm as one of his bullets managed to pierce through the intense flame and wound him. Haha, ya fool, those are makeshift bullets produced by my strong bones. I strengthen my calcium every day to always keep my bullets sharp and dangerous. Now die. Revealing his trump card, Dobby is unable to dodge the upcoming bullets. That was when another wall of ice blocks in front of him and manages to stop the bullets from reaching his body. Are you okay, Dobby? Todoroki asks. Glaring at the young man, he refuses to answer nor show any sign of gratitude. Not like Half and Half really cared as he tossed him a mask. Wear that. Midoriya's orders. Looking upon his mask closely, it was a regular ski mask with a burnt aesthetic dusting the bottom left side. Dobby didn't know whether to think of it as insulting or annoying. Regardless, he wore it as he was told to do so without any complaints. I am managing to distract two of them, but we can't hold out like this. Garone reports to Shin, who is trying to devise a quick plan for escape. What can I do? Should I engulf this entire place in poison gas? No, it's safe to assume they know about my quirk enough to know I might have a chance to do that and combat a plan to counter that. I got to think out of the box, but I don't have time. They're getting closer. Midoriya and the remaining group along Toga slowly walked up until they heard a loud blast from the second floor stairs. How fucking dare you ruin my establishment? Midoriya looks back to find a fairly huge man and a group of roughly 20 or so people backing behind him armed with various guns. 1. Yasuga Shin. Mr. Soru. 2. Pimper Soru. Shin, what the hell are you doing to my place? 1. It's these guys, they are responsible for destroying your establishment. Destroy them. 2. Is that Sue? Now looking a bit clearer, he does see a bunch of people covered with masks looking at him while Shin and his goons are pinned to a corner. Taking that into consideration, it was clear who were the aggressors, and that was enough for him to act upon. Alright boys, target the ones with the masks on. They are the ones WHO is ruining my business. The situation begins to escalate too far for even Midoriya to anticipate. At this point, he may need to call in the backup of Yaoyorozu, Twice and Kodai, as the tables have turned and now they are outnumbered and outgunned. Fire! The boss orders, and within seconds, rings of bullets fill the first floor. While Midoriya and Asui were agile enough to dodge the bullets, the not-so-ones use their quirks to their advantage, like Todoroki, who puts up a large barrier of ice to protect his comrades. Needing to provide protection support, his quirk begins to weigh on him as he could feel the exhaustion and slow functions within his body for using the ice. Quirk too often. Let alone to this large degree. Because of that, he was able to protect the majority of his friends. Kaibara was able to escape by quickly digging a hole to the ground, while Kaminari inverted his quirk of electrification and attracted metal debris, causing them to fly towards him to use as protection. As far as Midoriya could see, aside from Hagakuri's condition, everyone seems to be safe. Upon the mess of confusion, Shin and his remaining goons take the opportunity to run to the back exit. His legs persevere with his running stimulant energy, and he was close to the handle, only to be intercepted from Midoriya and Asui, who leaps in front of them. Kellic, make way for us. Shin orders. The other lackey steps up and activates his quirk, widening his hands, he brings them together to a clap. Midoriya studied all about his quirk, and it's called shockwave amplification, which allows him to amplify any sound he makes tenfold, making it dangerous if anyone is within close range of him. A simple clap amplified the sound wave so much that it caused the two to fly back. With him and Asui about to impact the back door, he dives instinctively to her side and wraps her around his arms so that he would take most of the impact. With the intensity of the shockwave, it causes them to blast through the door and break the brick wall followed after. 1. Asui. Izuku, are you alright? 2. Midoriya, I'm okay. Are you alright? 1. I'm fine, thank you. 2. Good. You are welcome, so get up, he's escaping. 1. Of course. The three take the alleyway while the two green-haired follow after. Kaminari runs outside to check out the situation. Midoriya, are you okay? He screams out to outvoice the resounding noise of bullets being fired. One for all, full cowling. I'm okay, you guys deal with the Mafia and his gang, me and Asui will catch up on Yasuga Shin. We'll meet you back here, okay? He orders as he begins the chase along with Asui. You go too, Dabi, Todoroki orders. Dabi refrains from firing his quirk at the shooting mob with a disconcerting look. Huh, why should I? He asks blatantly, struggling to not overuse his ice quirk too much, B because he needs you. I would go B, but I'm needed here. If I let up on these ice, Kaminari and the others will be going under fire. You go in my stead, please, gosh I'm cold. With every bullet chipping on his ice is replaced, but he can slowly sense the ice slowly producing after every replacement. Dabi hates being barked at with constant orders, but he has no choice but to acknowledge the lengths they are going. Unlike Shigaraki, Midoriya has demonstrated feats where it could actually cause change and even put lives on the line for the cause. But unlike Shigaraki, Midoriya has yet to lose somebody. Fine, he retracts his flames as begins to dash off down the dark alleyway. Under all the chaos, the gang's boss notices one escaping. Hey, where the hell do you think you're going, eh? Pulling out his own Tommy gun as he lets loose riddles of bullets. Constantly reinforcing the pressure, Todoroki is slowly reaching his limit as he could visually see his ice being blasted away. Reaching to the point, he falls back to the blowback of the last of his ice being shot away. Hey, why did you guys stop shooting? Pimper shouts in anger. As he looks to his left, he finds 3 of his boys lying on the floor with blood oozing from the bodies' suits. What the? The gang stops to revel in the shocking scene shown by one girl in a bloody white bunny mask. Oh, you weren't supposed to see that. A feminine voice speaks out from the young girl in the mask. A high school girl, what is she doing here? One of the boys asks. Although that should be the prime issue, Soru notices something he could comprehend. A floating knife floats around the visible girl's head. It's floating, he mentions. As it levitates in front of the devilish girl's smiles, a slight bloody marking shaped as a smile peer from behind Toga's head. Hagakure. Boo. Spooking the boss and his boys, they recklessly fire at them only for them to dodge it. There is someone who is invisible. Keep your guard up and watch out for a floating knife. Soru orders. Although hearing it, they could not fully focus because of the sound and the terror in his heart upon imagining a floating knife and a sinister bloody smile. And with that one opportunity of vulnerability ends one of the goons' life as a floating knife can be seen dashing in front of him and slicing his neck open. One by one, bodies continue to drop thanks to Hagakure and Toga, allowing Todoroki and Kaminari to now go on the offense. Soru watches as one by one, his men get sliced, burned and electrocuted. Leaving no choice, he calls upon for more reinforcements as they demonstrate an absolute beating to his men. Pimper Soru, calling all staff present, help me. Transitioning to a different fight. 3 men manage to flee from the scene and continue to run. They come across a metal fence blocking their way. Damn, this will be quick. He steps up and puts out his hand to melt the fence with his poison quirk. But suddenly, the ground below their feet begins to rumble. The guards stare at each other confused, but the man with a black trench coat only signs in irritation as the floor crumbles in front of him. Pushing Shin back, a man with a black pointed mask appears in front of them. This is as far as you go, he calls out. Both his arms are shaped to be drills, which explains how he could dig through the floors. Kelek, Garone, get this guy, he orders. It was a 3v1 situation, and if he could take care of him quickly, they could get out and escape. Garone took the initiative and shot at him, causing him to retreat back to burrow to only reappear behind them. The 3 look back to find 3 more guys backing Kaibara. Midoriya, thanks for holding them off, Kaibara. Kaibara, you're welcome, and, why is Dabi here? Asui, that's what I want to know as well actually. Dabi, shut it, frogface. Todoroki told me to come and help. By the looks of it, you guys, clearly, need it. Well, putting his sarcastic jokes aside, it was somewhat reassuring to have support apart from Asui by his side. Laying his hand on his shoulder, Kaibara looks back to Midoriya. You've done all I could ever ask for, thank you, so run back and support the others please. Tsuyu, Dabi and I are more than enough to handle the rest, okay. Kaibara understood as he ran back down the alleyway to support the others with the boss. Dabi, you can handle Kellic on your own, me and Suyu will take care of Garone. Once you are done disposing of him, join us and we'll take Shin together, he orders as he reactivated his quirk. Being a little compliant, he ignites his blue flames and shoots directly at the man who was about to wind up another clap. Putting him at bay, Asui and Midoriya waste no time and dash head towards the other guard. Pulling out both his arms, he begins to shoot at the faster one. Asui was able to dodge the oncoming bullets using her strong legs. She jumps to unbelievable heights while Midoriya uses his danger sense quirk which assists him dodging the speeding bullets. Just die, damn you! Garone screams in irritation, only to be stopped when a long string of what appears to be a tongue wraps around his arms. With his arms binded together, he feels it being tugged up to his chin. To prevent himself from sustaining self-injuries, he stops shooting for a moment and could see the girl with the frog mask stuck to the walls of the building. Damn you! When she jumped, she was able to get out of his sight of fire, and because Midoriya was aggressive in his advancement, it forced Garone to keep his focus on the opponent on hand. Midoriya observed his style of fighting and came to the conclusion that because of his quirk and experience, he is unable to handle multiple fast-moving targets. In turn, he turned that weakness to his advantage by keeping all the attention on him, which allowed Suyu to freely move and restrain his weapons. Using her tongue, she forcibly pulls his guns up to his neck. Keep shooting and do us a favor by taking yourself out, yeah. You damn frog. Staring at the lone man who charges at him, he watches as he winds up his leg, one for all, shoot style, Detroit smash. He strikes the side of his hip, sending him flying to the left and crashing within the brick building. Kellic. Garone. Taking his eyes off for a moment, Dabi sees the opportunity to close the distance. Panning his eyes back to the sound of flames whistling up, he sees a man dashing at him with furious intent. Inhaling air, he readies his body as he speaks out. Get away! Kellic screams, which the sound wave amplifies tenfold, blowing away the fire he made and sending flying backwards. Damn you! He snarls to himself. How can I get close to this guy without him sending me flying away, he thought to himself. Dabi then turns his attention to his side where Midoriya and Asui watch from the sideline. What the? Aren't they not gonna help me? After all the effort I put into coming here and helping. Are they serious? Midoriya takes his mask off for Dabi to see something he finds absolutely distasteful and familiar. He could see the intense eyes he was giving him, almost looking kinda disappointed. What's with those eyes? Does they expect me to beat this guy on my own? Crunching his fist into a ball. Don't look at me with those eyes. Do not look at me with such distasteful disappointment. I've had enough of those. Stop it. Under so much stress, a flashback of time where he aimed to please a certain someone with his quirk. No matter how much self-damaging he went through, it was never enough as he moved on to his next project the second he saw no potential in him. Seeing those eyes again was the last thing he ever wanted. I'll show you, he groans to himself, fire engulfing each of his hands. His flames spark heat that Kellic could even feel. Not caring whether it burns his skin off, not caring if what he is doing could potentially kill him. All that matters is proving to the man in front of him that he has value. That he is worth a damn. Die. In one go, Dabi shoots a wave of blue flames towards the opponent. Kellic puts his hands together and in one swing, slaps them and causes a huge shockwave. The pressure pushes the flames out, but Dabi refuses to give in. In fact, he outputs more flames than he ever could, screaming to the tops of his lungs and showing the anger and determination he is willing to put. Asui, seeing the struggle he was putting up, couldn't help but sympathize. She wanted to help, but Midoriya stopped her in her tracks. Midoriya, we should help him. He's pushing himself too hard. We have to, she pleads, but he stares at him. He's got this. Believe in our comrade. Listening to his words, Midoriya demonstrates his faith despite that person he is relying on is probably the least trusting ally they have. Regardless, the look in his eyes says it all, and Asui was willing to back down because of it and watch the final result. Kellic continues to clap his hands together, but every time he does, his hand becomes weaker as he feels the repercussions each time he uses his quirk. Each clap renders his hands more sensitive than before, and eventually by the time he gets to his last clap, his own hands will be the one to explode. Seeing as it isn't working, he resorts to using his voice again as it is much louder. After giving it its last effort, he breathes deeply and begins to scream, sending out a voice wave far stronger than a simple clap and is amplified even more with his quirk. Even still, Dabi refuses to give up. With the resolve of him proving a point, his entire body engulfs in flames as his own jacket gets burnt up with the intense heat pressure he was outputting. Putting all his negative emotions of anger into one last rage attempt to outpower his opponent. It went on long enough to the point where Kellic had no choice but to stop and catch his breath. Assuming he won as he used the loudest part of his body, he did not expect the moment the flames dissipated and Dabi was there within a few feet of him. Assuming he used his voice, he figured he would tire himself out sometime and catch his breath. Dabi played this as a game of stamina of who could last the longest despite Kellic having way more power. It all paid off when he lowered his guard in the end and Dabi was able to close the distance between each other. I gasp, finally got you, ya annoying bastard. The silent man tried to free himself but his hold onto his mouth was too tight. In fact, it started to get a bit too hot for Kellic to handle as Dabi wasted no time and shot his fire quirk out and into his mouth. The screams he muffles through were so loud and powerful that it numbs the villain's hand, but the sheer force of his flames overpower his shockwave quirk, burning everything inside him. With all the flame consumptions burning his insides, smoke starts to emerge from his ears. At that point, he could feel nothing from his hand as he dropped the body. Kellic drops dead with smoke flowing out his mouth and the smell of the burning inside starts to fume the area. His mouth reduces to cinders. Midoriya and Asui look towards his brutal tactics with utter disgust, despite it being efficient. I did it. I won, ya bastard. Dabi, barely holding himself together, maintains his consciousness a little bit before falling due to his injuries. Before losing his consciousness, he looks to the side, to the lone broccoli boy. Shows you, little punk. Ya see that? I am worth shit. He then feels someone catching him before hitting the floor. Opening his eyelids a bit, the blur was blocking his vision but he could barely make out a young boy holding him up. You did it, Dabi. As expected, you pushed past your limit and you beat your enemy with your incredible quirk. Thank you. Incredible quirk, huh? Thinking back on it, when was the last time anyone has ever complimented his quirk in a way like that? In fact, when was the last time his father ever admired his quirk the way Midoriya did just now? When was the last time anyone has ever congratulated him on his hard work? It's over, Yasuga Shin. Give up and come with us peacefully. Still not fully over with the display Dabi just presented, Midoriya tries his best to remain unfazed and calm. Shin watches as one by one, his goons being brought down. I've heard of you. Aren't you heroes? What are you doing here in the unrestricted district? You don't have jurisdiction nor the reason to be here. We work without restrictions now. Midoriya claps back. What we do is for the good of our future. You, All for One and Dr. Garaki are standing in the way of that. Villains need to be washed out in order for a life of peace, so you need to die. Oh yay. Liquid poison begins to seep through the trench coat of his sleeves. I'd like to see you try. Todoroki sits back to one of the couches to rest. Kaminari and Hagakure approach the scarred boy. Hey man. Are you doing okay? Kaminari asks with a concerned expression. Using his hot side, he is able to cool his body down enough to where he won't get hyperthermia. Why yay, I'll manage. How's Midoriya doing? They're engaging with the target currently. The group locks their eyes to the source of the voice. Kaibara steps through the debris as he makes his way in. Hagakure. Kaibara, you're okay. Kaibara. Yay, thankfully. Man, what were you guys doing here? It's so messy and bloody. Especially you, Toga. What's wrong with me? I thrive in the pool of the blood of my victims. Kaminari. Right. That's not creepy at all. Todoroki. Never mind that. What's the status of Midoriya and them? Oh right. By the time I left, Dabi, Midoriya and Asui were just engaged with the target and his lackeys. If we get there in time, we can back them up. Seeing how the situation escalated, Todoroki takes initiative and orders the others to go and help them. Hey, Todoroki, can you hear me? Through the comms, he picks up the voice of Yaoyorozu through. 1. Todoroki. What is it, Yaoyorozu? 2. Yaoyorozu. There is bad news. We're getting even more company. 1. Is it dire? Can you not handle it yourself? 2. I don't know. Midoriya is not responding and we just got word that the police are heading towards your way. Hearing the sudden big news, he grits his teeth in frustration. They knew what they were doing would attract the eyes of the police, but this is way too soon than they have expected. Midoriya isn't here and the others don't seem like they are in a position to take charge, so that leaves Todoroki to step up and improvise a new plan. This is getting bad. We are not hearing from Midoriya and the police are on their way. Wait, how far? 1. Yaoyorozu, can you try to estimate the time it takes for them to arrive here? 2. I don't know, I estimate in half an hour. 1. And you have twice in Kodai with you? 2. I do. They are right beside me. 1. Good. I have a plan in mind that will buy us time for us and Midoriya. Talking out the plan over the radio, the whole team is able to hear it out. It was a crazy and unnatural plan, but with those three, it may work depending how far the police are willing to go. Todoroki then split the team into two separate teams. Kaibara and Hagakure go and support Yaoyorozu, twice and twice, while the rest head down the alleyway and support Midoriya. Everyone understood and immediately went their separate ways. Toga and Kaminari follow not too far behind while Todoroki takes the lead. Don't worry Midoriya, we're coming. Chapter 8. Rage. Unaware of the fighting that took place. Elsewhere, Yaoyorozu notifies Todoroki and the team that the police are due to arrive within half an hour. The group no longer has the luxury to take their time due to the limited time given to them. Capturing Yasuga Shin is now or never. Going back to Midoriya and his group, Dabi is injured pretty badly and is being treated by Asui while Midoriya is facing off with Shin. Stop making this hard and come with us peacefully, please. He asks, but the villain just laughs maniacally. You really think you brats can take me on? Who the hell do you think you are? He demands. Who do I think I am? Midoriya's patient is running low and just dashes right towards him and delivers a straight punch across his cheeky face. Shin fell to the floor bruised, but Midoriya sustained injuries even worse. Upon contact, his hand could feel it burning and stinging. He looks down to find his gloves burning away and his arm reacting by the punch. The villain stands back up and laughs. Haha, ya really think you can beat me that easily? Dare touch me again and I will corrode your hand again with my liquid toxins. Do you not know the extent of my toxic power? I thought you studied me thoroughly, ya little brat. Izuku. Sue screams out in concern. She knew the moment he punched him that there was gonna backfire on him, but he didn't phase at all. I got this, Suyu, take care of Dabi, he orders. Even if he says that, she still wants to help him. She sets Dabi down and walks to his side. What are you Just by her grabbing his injured hand, he felt the stings of a million bees coursing through his nerve system. It hurts like hell and the sudden touch only proves her worries. You don't have to do this alone, I will provide support and you take him down. Together. Seeing the calmness in her eyes was reassuring. Even if he was hurt, she still remained calm and thought out their strategy thoroughly. Seeing how calm and collected she is, he couldn't help but only laugh it off. I don't know why, but having you here beside me always seems to keep me at ease. Thank you, Sue. His sudden realization startled the young frog. Out of happiness, she couldn't hide the joyful croaks echoing from her mouth. He called me Sue. Enough of this mushy romantic crap. He begins to gather a large amount of toxicity and sends a poisonous cloud of smoke towards them. Split, he yells out and the two jump their separate ways. I got you, Shin states, throwing a poison liquid at him. Midoriya panics as he has not reached the building yet to jump off. In the air he was a complete target and braced for impact. Thankfully, Suyu was able to cover his lack of agility and whips out her long tongue. Quickly, she wraps it around his waist and pulls him close to her area. She was able to react in time and catch his body, holding him against the wall she was stuck upon. Izuku, thank you, Suyu. Ribbit. Shin groans in frustration and he sends another dose of liquid goo at them. Naturally they dodged it, but he soon realizes that thanks to Suyu acting as a support, he thought of a plan as to where he is able to fight Shin on an equal playing field. Midoriya regroups with the frog girl to share his plan of attack. After a good thought, they lock eye to eye on the plan and act upon it. Midoriya recklessly dodges towards the man with the intent to punch. Seeing how foolish the young brat can get, he pulls up a wall of solid poison to both act as a protection from Shin and an offensive killer moves once the green boy makes contact. He waits silently for the sound of burning skin and the scream of agonizing pain, but it didn't come to pass. He wishes away the solid poison to find him, but he was nowhere to be seen. Where's this In his confusion, he lets his guard down and that's when a sudden intense pressure hits the back of his head, sending him flying down to the pavement floor. What the hell? He picks himself back up to find Midoriya flying across the sky. Well, not flying exactly, but being pulled across the air with the help of Suyu's long, strong and durable tongue. He couldn't comprehend what just happened. In a fit of frustration he tries again and shoots the toxic goo from his sleeve. Suyu lets him go so that he could act upon himself again, and just like before, he jumps from the brick wall and flies towards him at super speed. This ridiculous stunt again, he then pulls up another wall of solid toxin wall. Toxic wall. He waited once more for the sensation of him making contact against the toxic wall, but there was nothing again. He walks to the side of the wall to find any result, but it shows no sign of impact. Then, once again he was hit with another burst of intense pressure from the back, sending him flying and breaking the poison wall he had created. You stinkin' brat. Izuku lands on the other side of the wall with Asui behind him. He now sees what's going on. The girl with the frog mask adds as support while the man with the black mask and crooked goes on the offensive. It only happened twice, but the play seems to be to bait out a vulnerable opportunity by faking out his straightforward attack and instead attack from places they least expect it. By himself, Izuku could not act upon the plan, but with the support of Tsuyu and her quick thinking, he is able to make reckless plays without having to consider the consequences to it. It's all you. Shin then targeted the girl next to him. If I take out that girl first, I can rob the other boy of his extra supported movements. Poison gas. He releases 2 clouds of gas targeting the two. Doing this, he was able to pull the two away from each other again, leaving the girl alone. Seeing the opportunity, he targets the frog girl and sends various bullets of toxic goo at her. It covers a wide range, so even if she tries to escape with her tongue, it will surely hit something and that will be the end of her. Ha 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 ha, you're finished. One for all. Black whip. Shin watches as his plan falls apart when a long string of black wraps around the frog girl's waist, pulling her away from danger. Izuku lands and catches her from falling to the ground, holding her bridal style. I got your back too, he reassures her. *R ribbit. Under the mask, her face lights up in pink. Thank you, Izuku. Shin. What the hell? What are you? I thought your quirk was just enhanced speed and strength. The hell's this? Izuku. He puts her down so she can stand on his own. I'm not sure if I promised this to you guys, but I want to protect you guys no matter what, so rely on me more, okay? She did not know how to respond, but she found comfort in his words. Although, the discovery of finding out he has more than one quirk in his disposal is something they should touch about. Now, facing back to the enemy at hand, let's get back to where we just were now, shall we? Shin saw no flaw in their teamwork. No matter what he tried, the two can easily avoid it with their near-perfect reaction time. He was already at a disadvantage, but with the reveal of the man being able to use more than one quirk has really thrown off his balance. He has seen something that resembles this. Hell, in fact he has worked on something relating to the Nomu experiment to put out the perfect monster able to use multiple quirks. So when a young boy is able to achieve such a feat without having no idea how to do it is something beyond concerning. The only man that is able to do something similar or equivalent to that is All For One. Damn you, ya bastards. In a fit of furious anger, he shoots out multiple chunks of poison to the two. The two were able to counterattack when Asui wraps her tongue around a trash bin and throws it at the young boy. Izuku, hearing her call out his name, he knew in an instant what to do. As soon as the bin is in front of him, he positions his finger, ready to flick an in motion, STES off his fingers and creates a mini pressure wave of his own. It's not as strong as Keluk's shockwave, but a small condensed air pressure targeting a metal bin will send it flying at an unbelievable speed. Unable to react, he takes the full force of the oncoming trash bin, discombobulating him for a moment to only see the green-haired boy leap off the ground towards him. One for all, full cowling, 35% Detroit smash. He aims his fist directly at him and punches the air, creating a large pressure and pushes the villain down to the floor. He screams out in pain, as the wind is strong enough to break down the floor Yuko impact. The pure overwhelming strength he was showing was proven to be too much for the old man as he was nearing his limit. On his own, Shin was sure he was able to take him on, but with the help of the pesky frog girl, she was able to perfect the movement between each other, and the teamwork they've shown was nothing but superb. I'm almost at my limit. I have no choice. I must activate it. Izuku gracefully lands back on the floor with Asui walking to his side. Did we do it? She asks. Even the broccoli boy is not sure for himself as he checks the small crater he made. The man appears to be unconscious but not too sure. Just when he was going to enter into the crater to retrieve his body, he peeks a slight smoke in Shin's face. This is my last chance, he mutters to himself in a devilish tone. Izuku leaps off the crater back to Tsuyu's side as they both witness a large amount of liquid poison ooze out his trench coat and begin to cover his entire body. Tsuyu, what is going on? Izuku, prepare yourself. It's not over yet. The large purple ooze picks up the body to where it stands and it begins to coat his entire body from the head to its feet. In the midst of his transformation, he lets out a psychotic laugh, thinking he has won this fight. Toxic release. Oxidizing monster. His final transformation allows him to coat his body with every form of chemical poison. With complete control of his poison, he is able to cover every crevice, and with how much he is producing, making any penetration using their method from before will no longer be efficient due to the thickness level he wears. As of right now, he has no weakness Tsuyu nor Izuku can exploit. Ha ha ha, you guys are so screwed now. Boasting in a cocky manner, there may be some truth in those words as the threat level has become too much for either to handle. Just by the exhale of his breath produces dangerous poisonous gas, and he is able to change both of his arms into weapons coated with toxic material. Not only is his defense top-notch, but his weapons can be proven to be lethal. Tsuyu grabs hold of Izuku's hand with a worrisome look in her eyes. They lock eyes, and even beyond the mask, Asui has this expression he has never seen her wear before just by the look in her eyes. It was fear. Up against a powerful opponent, she has every right to be afraid as her life is put in actual danger, but Midoriya has said before and he will continue to say it time and time again to her. Pulling up his mask, he can only smile with the same expression he has always shown under every circumstance. She doesn't know why, but seeing him smile always affected her in some way. Even if her fear is not fully gone, seeing Izuku smile plants something in her mind. Something that has been said before by him and every hero she has admired. Words that have been to people to reassure them. I will protect you. Die. The monster lets out an inhuman roar as the sludge beats dashes at them headfirst. Full cowling. 4%. Izuku reacts quickly as he throws Asui to the side as gently as he could, protecting her. The trash bags softened her landing, but she never once took his eyes off Izuku. Izuku, no. Fearing for the life of a man close to her heart, she cries out his name, not knowing if it would protect him or not. Izuku then makes eye contact with the monster as his growls get louder and more vicious. This is the end for you. One last message before the young man activates his quirk, and with one single jump from the ground, he vanishes in an instant and leaves a large crater in his stead. The monster did not process it enough in time, but the second he realized the boy was gone, another man appeared behind where Izuku was. An injured man gets back up and extends his hand out with blue flames targeting the poison monster. Dabi, you stupid old fuck. Putting every last ounce of his power he has reserved, he shoots out the last of his blue flames, large enough to touch each side of the alleyway and completely cover the monster. Izuku, no matter how strong you are, both offensively and defensively, your one flaw is your own quirk. With the amount of various types of poison chemicals you cover yourself with, one of them will surely be flammable and dangerous to not only us but you especially. Because you oxidize your poison, you put yourself completely sensitive to fire, and in turn, not being able to do anything, Shin watches as his own boy begins to flame up and inevitably burst. Izuku, you will explode. A second later, a large explosion sets off, sending debris flying everywhere and knocking out the old man. The intensity of the explosion was able to send him flying past the fence and crash into a nearby car. Izuku, Tsuyu and Dabi leaning on her shoulder walk to the car where Yasuga Shin resides. There, they find him shirtless and covered with many bruises and burns, but most importantly unconscious and beaten. One, Izuku announces. He looks back and sees Asui and Dabi take off their masks. Dabi shows a slight smile while Tsuyu smiles all cutesy and joyful. Midoriya, a familiar voice echoes through the dark alleyway. The three turn back around thinking there are more enemies, but one boy with a scar emerges from the shadows. Todoroki, Asui calls out, followed by Kaminari and Toga shortly behind them. Toga, Dabi calls out with a weak voice. Never seen ya look so beaten up, Dabi. That's hella uncool. Toga claps back, showing her canines in her smile. Somewhat hearing her snarky comments brings back a sense of normality in his heart. Thanks, ya little turd. Kaminari peeks out from behind Todoroki. Did ya win? Continuing to ask an idiotic question. Not needing to answer, it was best to show them as they stepped aside and show an unconscious half-naked man. We did, let's head on back. Heading down the alleyway, Midoriya asks how Yaoyorozu's team is doing. Todoroki explains in a casual tone as he reports back. 30 minutes before. 1. Suragame. Bark, we must hurry and head to the place in the reports. There might be a good chance Midoriya and his group are there. 2. Police officer. Even if we get there, there's no hope for us. Their quirk is clearly stronger than ours, how are we going to handle them? 1. We'll figure it out once we get there. Hurry. 2. This is an unrestricted district, it is flooded with tons of villains. 1. None of them fail in comparison to finding Midoriya. It's imperative we find this group now. Speeding along the road, Saragame along with 12 cop cars sped to the destination. Damn it, where are the other heroes? They should be here along with us, he barks angrily. Best Jeanist, Edgeshot, Kamui and even Endeavor himself are reported to come soon, the officer driving him reassured nervously. Damn heroes. They don't get the privilege of taking their time. But still, surely Midoriya's group is behind this. The reports from witnesses describe a bunch of people with masks attacking a club within this area. If the description is accurate, it matches the ones of Midoriya and his group. That is enough evidence. We need to hurry. Wishing they would arrive there in the next 15 minutes, the police officers pressed their brake, forcing them to stop. What the hell? He yells in confusion. The god officer looks around to see the other cop cars stopping and the police officer getting out and even running away. Even his own driver unbuckles and rushes out the cop car screaming, "What the hell is wrong with you guys? Get back in the cop car." Also getting out, yelling out in an angered voice. Not fully aware of the situation, it is only picked up upon when the shadow below him starts to get darker and wider. Saragame looks up and even with it being dark, his capability to see in the dark thanks to his dog quirk can make out 5 large objects hailing from the sky. Oh crap, it was at this moment he knew the objects falling his way were only getting bigger and it was heading towards them. In a panic, the dog officer dropped everything and began to speed blitz on all 4 to safety. Unable to look back, he hears the sound of their cop cars crushed under the objects. He looked back and he couldn't believe his eyes. The other officers turn on their flashlights and are able to see what Saragame is still unable to process. Sir, are those Russian dolls? One of the officers speaks out in disbelief. He couldn't believe what he was looking at, but there is no doubt that they are in fact Russian dolls, but the size of it is massive. 5 Russian dolls that are about the same size as a regular car just hailed from the sky out of nowhere. What can they make out of this situation? Is this a ploy from the villains? Is this some kind of joke? Just then, the Russian dolls started to turn and split in half. In a sudden panic, the chief officer orders his squad to be ready in arms for whatever is coming out of those things. The bottom half of those lady dolls detach and fall to the ground. Saragame was anticipating things like bombs, poison gas, anything that could be lethal or dangerous, but what came after was the last thing they expected. A bunch of people emerge from the dolls. From the looks of it, at least 5 people came out of each of those dolls covered in a black hooded cape. Sir, what are we going to do about this? An officer speaks out. Normally, the top dog would order his squad to tend to the people, but as of now, they do not know them and the fact that they came out of them. It's kinda suspicious. Unable to come into a decision, their moment of hesitation allowed the hooded figures to come out of their act. Saragame and his men watched as half of the hooded people pulled out Molotovs and threw them at which they stood. Retreat. The power in his voice struck fear to his fellow officers, forcing them to retreat away from the cars. The Molotovs created a line of fire in which the cops could not pass by, preventing the officers to crossing to the other side and to their destination. Who are these people? Are these guys holding us back? They are. They're keeping us at bay. Everyone, get in the nearest cop car and press forward, Saragame orders. Everyone available tried their best to run to the nearest car only to be stopped when each car started to explode. What the hell is happening? The chief demanded. Oh, our cars. Every one of them is blowing up. One of the officers responded. Next thing he knew, the hooded men beyond the fire started chucking grenades over the fire wall to the other side. Saragame observed and noticed they weren't just recklessly throwing either. They were clearly aiming for the cars. With only 6 cars left over from the initial attack, 4 of them have already been destroyed from the grenades. Damn bastards. One of the officers had enough and decided to aim his gun towards one of the hooded terrorists. In one pull, he pulls the trigger and the bullet shoots, piercing the intended target. No, you fool, the chief cries out. He plans his attention towards the hit target to find him falling but also melting. The moment the figure was shot, he was reduced to mud. They're not real. Still not sure, he took the gamble and aimed his own gun at a different target. Ready to take responsibility, he pulls the trigger on the slight gamble. He is right. The moment his bullet pierced the hooded man, he got sent back but also melted down to mud. Where once a man stood has been reduced to a pile of mud, and that only further confirms his suspicions. They're not real. Take aim, men, gun them down. And without hesitation, the whole squadron started firing and mowing down every man they could see. Riddling the large group with bullets, the bombing eventually stops. Feeling like he's fought a war, Saragame takes a moment to calm down and tune out the ringing of guns being shot in his vicinity. Officer 1. Did we get them all? As soon as the fire died down, they checked the other side to find a large pool of mud covering the area in where the hooded men used to be. These were not human decoys. Saragame questions himself. Another officer walks next to the top dog, who would do something like this. Why? Thinking back on it, thinking about the intention and area of damage, it took a bit for him to piece the puzzles together. They wanted to delay our arrival. From the distance between where Saragame are to the place Midoriya is at, it would take roughly 10 minutes to drive, but because nearly all of their motive of transportation is destroyed, the time it would take to get there will double and be near half if not more the hour it would initially be. Damn, the dog snarls to himself. To think a bunch of kids would pull such a dangerous high-risk, high-reward stunt on the JPD. Where are those damn heroes? Seeing the view from above, 3 figures wearing their own respective masks watch over the chaos they have created. That was pretty intense, Kodai points out, wearing a standardized black shirt with dark cargo pants and 3 fanny packs to hold her items for when they're needed. Wearing a dark red mask with a white mark crossing her eye holes, she stands by Twice, who continues to speak duality remarks. Yaoyorozu watches from the front the utter chaos she has caused. Hopefully doing this, we bought time for Midoriya and the others. Flapping her black robe behind her, she stands up with her other 2 colleagues. Her mask is a traditional kitsune mask with black color and purple outline near her cheeks and nose. I'll let Todoroki and the others know about how successfully delayed the police. We should head on back to the main group, she orders. With no time to waste, Kodai, Twice and Yaoyorozu head on back to the rendezvous point. I see. That's good. Thank you. Midoriya genuinely thanked Todoroki as he recapped the whole situation. By that time, the group walked back to the scene of the action of where the club was and found countless bodies on the floor in the ransacked place of a club. Midoriya. What? Kaminari. No need to worry about that. We handled it pretty well if ya ask me. Toga. I had a lot of fun cutting up people with Toru. We should do this again sometime. Todoroki. Midoriya, why are we here again? Midoriya hangs on to the weakened little frog girl as he allows her to put some of her weight on him and act as support. Are you okay? He asks concernedly. The young girl opens her eyes for a moment. Yay. Just a little sleepy is all. Taking off his mask, he shows his face with a small smile. Once we get home, you can rest. You earned it, Tsuyu. Time and time after again, Izuku has demonstrated various acts to not only protect his comrades but especially her. Seeing how close his face was, she couldn't help but think maybe if she got a little closer, would something happen between them? Would it be allowed? Can her heart be allowed to feel this way? Izuku. Midoriya, look at all this cash laying around. Yeah, think we can grab some of these? Kaminari recklessly shouts, interrupting the tense mood between the 2 green kids. Yay, sure. Grab as much as you guys can, he responds back with genuine intention. Are you sure we're allowed to do this? Todoroki steps up with a reasonable question. Midoriya saw no reason not to. Initially, it was the money between the gang members and dealers, so taking it for themselves will allow them to put it to better use. Besides, it's fine. We need the money for food and other daily necessities after all. Especially Yaoyorozu. She's probably very hungry right now. Asui was left alone to reevaluate her own emotions after the wasted opportunity. Blushing to herself, she can only curse the lack of moments between her and Izuku and Kaminari's obnoxious oblivious timing. Hey Izuku. You think you can get away with this, huh? You damn bastard. I won't go out like this. Letting their guard down for the moment allowed the one man who posed the biggest threat within the group to break away from Dabi's hold and reach in for his trench coat. The others were not yet aware, but it didn't matter as Dabi nor Toga were too late to stop Shin from pulling out a gun and firing it. Midoriya heard the sound of a gun going off, but he has yet to know the initial target. Thinking that his quirk danger sense didn't activate shows he's not in immediate danger, but that cannot say the same for his other teammates. In fact, the one person he wanted amongst the others to not get hurt gets shot from the back. Hearing the scream of the person he cared for, he watches as Asui falls to the floor. Tsuyu. In fear, she flips her to the back to find it was not a bullet but a tiny syringe with purple liquid being slowly injected to her back. No, what the hell is this? Scrambling to take it off her back, Yaoyorozu and the others including Twice, Kodai, Kaibara and Hagakure arrived a bit too late. They came with good news, but that did not matter to the situation going on now. Ha 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 ha, that's what you bastards get for messing with me. Shin drops the gun as he laughs in his final act of rebellion. Midoriya, filled with rage, directs his emotions to the man in the trench coat. The closer the green-haired boy approached Shin, Dabi dropped his body the moment Midoriya laid his fist upon his face. The blow back was intense, but he was unable to fly away as Midoriya kept his hold on him with his other hand. Give me the antidote. With every word he muttered, he continued to pummel the villain to the point where his face is unrecognizable due to the swollen and bruised injuries. 1. Yasuga Shin. FWO bad, ya bastard. She's done for. 2. Midoriya. If you don't tell me how to save her, then I swear to God, I will fucking kill. 1. Or what? You'll kill me. I'm already at your mercy. I know once you're done with me that you'll kill me, so I might as well take away someone precious with you. 2. You monster. 1. This is your fault. You decided to mess with me and now your comrade pays the price. 2. Quote. 1. How do you feel, Izuku Midoriya? How do you feel knowing you could not protect the ones you loved from me? 2. Stop it. 1. I hope this haunts you for the rest of your life. 2. Stop it. Ha 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 ha. You will not be there yet, but I'll see her in hell soon. Between the screams of a young man dealing with anger, pain and stress and a maniacal villain feeling like he won, their voices compete to see who can outshine one another. Unable to reason with him, Midoriya continued to dig his fist repeatedly to his face to the point he passed out not 3 minutes later after his boastful words. The group and especially the league watches from the distant watches as Midoriya demonstrated terrible acts even knowing he is no longer of any use. The absolute rage he was in knows no bound to his powers. Punch. Todoroki. Midoriya, that's enough. Punch. Kaminari. Come on man, you gotta stop. Asui. Punch. Hagakure. Midoriya, you're scaring me. Punch. Kodai Kaibara. This is Midoriya. Punch. Toga. So much blood, hee. Punch. Dabi. This is the man who killed Shigaraki. The exact person who said he would be better than him. Punch. I see no difference. At this point, his fist was filled with blood and the face of Shin was next to battered and pooled with blood. Midoriya wasn't thinking straight. With the amount of tears flowing out his eyes, he could not even see who he was punching at this point. But he knew he was a monster. The flow of memories he's spent with Asui and his group started to rush through his mind. Every step of the way, Asui has been there by his side the moment he and his friends started to go down this route. Just the thought of anything happening to people like Kaminari or Yaoyorozu was painful enough, but possibly something he could handle. But, when the moment came and the one person he cherished above all else happened, he never thought he would ever lose complete control. Revving up his final punch, he pours all his hate, fear and sadness into this one swing to end it all. Die. Stop. Just when he was about to give his last, lethal punch, various arms began to wrap around his body. The screams of his friend snaps him back from his rage, finding himself being held back by his group. Kaminari and Hagakure used all their strength to hold back his punch while Todoroki, Twice and Toga held him from the back. Kodai and Kaibara aimed for the arm where he held the unconscious villain, trying their best to separate Midoriya's hold on him. Among all the hands holding him back, he could feel the warmth of another woman. It was Yaoyorozu's chest being pressed against his back as her arms wrapped gently around his arm. While the others tried their best to restrain him, Yaoyorozu was the only one to approach the situation with a more gentle method. That's enough Midoriya. Please, now's not the time for you to lose control. Control yourself, Midoriya, because we need you to save Asui. You throw that last punch and I'll burn that pretty face of yours right here and now. Dabi appears in front of him, holding out his hand. Back then, you spoke like you were better than us. Better than Shigaraki, but right now, you are acting no less than the vile villains you labeled us as. Dabi. Midoriya would never have expected him among the league to be the one to step up and stop him personally. Although, resorting to ending his life was within his expectations. The young broccoli boy turns around to find everyone doing their all to restrain him from ending one more life. Seeing the length his team was willing to go to calm him goes to show how far they are willing for him despite just now seeing the length of his monstrous strength. There was no doubt in his mind that they feared him at this point, but they clearly showed their care for him triumphs any negative emotions they harbored for Midoriya. Everyone. Once more, his tears begin to flow as he drops Shin's body. These tears were different as it was not one filled with sadness but joy in knowing how lucky he was to be able to have friends like these by his side. Asui, turning his attention to the unconscious girl. Especially the one girl who has been by his side. We have to save her, he mutters to himself. Yaoyorozu smiles as she has an idea in mind, but they need to hurry. I have a plan to save Asui. Chapter 9. Eri. Kurogiri attends alone to his self-made bar similar to the one from their last hideout while Midoriya and the others leave for their mission. Every stroke he takes to clean his glass, he times the absence of his fellow teammates and it already passes the 7-hour mark. After all that's happened, he ponders what it all meant and what purpose he has in his life now that he failed to protect the one person All for One asked him to. Thoughts of his own start to cloud his mind on what he should do. Now that Shigaraki's dead, All for One's plan falls to ruin and Kurogiri is left to the sidelines now. To exact revenge, should he kill Midoriya and his group to avenge Shigaraki and live up to All for One's will, or should he strive for a new master to serve? In fact, can he go through the possibility of self-destruction? No matter how he looks at it, his life now serves no purpose with his master dead and his former boss locked away in prison. All that remains is the self-proclaimed Green Boy and his strong allies. In the end, he went through the flow and is now serving under Midoriya in what he calls master. A boy younger than Shigaraki forced his ideals and goals onto the League of Villains and claimed their conviction and will are far stronger than his. With the bite to back up his bark, it did not take long before Midoriya and his group took over and all Kurogiri did was watch it play out in his hands. Suffering with his self-conflict, he was not prepared when the door of the warehouse came barging down. Kurogiri, where are you? The mist villain stood behind the counter he made for himself as the same young man he was talking about forced his way inside the League's hideout with a face expression he has never seen him wear. Young Midoriya, what happened to you? Midoriya followed the voice of Kurogiri to find him phasing through the bar as he approached closer. You're here, good, do you have the layout of the UA campus in your memories? He can hear the desperation and aggression in his voice which led him to believe something has incredibly gone wrong during their mission. Yes I do. Why, right now, Midoriya was not in the right state of mind and Kurogiri could take advantage of that and strike a fatal attack to exact revenge, but he knows his power and limits all too well and taking him on straight is probably the worst case scenario. He lacks the power nor resolve to do such a thing and that only proves how terrifying of a person Midoriya is. Master Midoriya, what happened to the mission? Was it a success? The panicked green boy walked past him as he was in search of something. The mission went smoothly as I expected, but one of our comrades was hurt in the process. I need your power. Comrade, and what do you plan to use me for? Finally finding the picture, he grabs onto the villain's garment for him to get a good look of the picture. It was a brochure of UA and the young man in particular was pointing at the building behind the large school. This right here, take me to this building now. It took Kurogiri a moment but he soon gets the visual layout of the school and opens a portal to the other side. Thank you. If you can, follow me. He wasted no time as he jumped through the portal. Kurogiri was skeptical of his sudden outburst, so he uses his power to be able to follow him and see where this goes. 15 minutes before. 1. Midoriya, you have a plan to save Tsuyu. What is it? 2. Yaoyorozu, it might be a stretch but it is possible. But we need to go back to UA. 1. Please do not beat around the bush, Yaoyorozu. Get straight to the point. 2. Of course, sorry. Remember the young girl you and Asui saved from the villain overhaul in the Yakuzas? 1. Yes, her name is Eri. What about her? Speaking out about her, it suddenly clicks into his mind the full length of her plan and the one person that surrounds it. Eri's quirk is the ability to reverse any state of being to its original point. With the sudden realization, his eyes glow a new profound bright green as his heart enlightens with hope again. Yaoyorozu pulls a light smile to his realization. Yes. If we are able to gain her trust, she could possibly help us save Asui with her quirk. This sudden news lightens the mood between the team as even some members from the league sigh in relief. But, with a sullen expression, Midoriya had to tackle this problem seriously, and that includes the drawbacks and possible mistakes. Right now, Eri is too young to control her quirk. If we go about this the wrong way, we might lose Tsuyu before we get the chance to save her. Yaoyorozu, we need to approach this plan as cautiously as we can. Todoroki, you still want to go through with this plan? Kaminari, but how are we going to go about this? We can't just waltz back to UA like nothing happened. Kodai. Not to mention after the stunt we pulled last time we were there. They will not be as welcoming. Kaibara. We can't run the risk of being captured by them. Hagakure. So does the plan change? I don't want to lose her. Midoriya. Nothing's changed. Washing the doubt away from everyone's mind, Midoriya stands above all else with the resolve of doing anything to save Tsuyu's life. We'll go with the plan, but we'll split in teams. I only need Hagakure and Kurogiri. The rest of you head back to the warehouse. I will fetch Kurogiri as fast as I can and have Hagakure meet me at the hospital. Ha 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 ha, it's too late. The crooked voice was able to catch the attention of everyone nearby. Shin reawakens, finding himself unable to move and just lays on the floor beaten and battered to mush. Nonetheless, it did not stop him from forewarning the inevitable. It's too late, Midoriya. In just 4 hours, she will die. Do you wanna know how? Hearing his raspy voice being choked from his blood only fueled Midoriya's rage. In the first hour and a half, she will fall ill and her temperature will rise to unbelievable heights. In 2 hours or so, she will suffer from the intense pain the poison will give, forcing her into cardiac arrest due to the poison affecting her heart, and then, in her last moment, she will be forced to cease function as the poison was probably able to spread throughout her body and burn every organ to goo. The sick villain snickers at the thought of having Midoriya stand there helpless and watch as his beloved friend dies in a slow and painful agony. He laughs as even though he lies on the floor practically toothless and covered in bruises, he knew at that moment that he won. Thanks for the info. Activating his quirk, the broccoli boy disappears from his spot in an instant. Even having his eyes on him, he lost sight of Midoriya as what was left behind was an after-image. Next thing he knew, Midoriya was in front of Shin. What? Unable to react, Midoriya stomps his foot onto the villain's side torso, breaking every possible bone from one effortless attack. Shin screams in pain, able to feel his ribcage absolutely shatter. He wheezes as he fights for his life, but at the same time, wishing to die as he can hardly breathe. Having his rage satiated by the sound of his anguish, he looks back to his team. We now know how much time we have, so every second counts. I'll meet you at Ua Hagakure, so keep your calm on and wait for further orders. Despite witnessing a brutal demonstration of power, the team did not waver and followed the orders they were given. Hagakure stole a nearby van while the rest of the team retreated back to their getaway vehicles. Kaminari, under intense time, could not help but stash away a couple duffel bags of loaded cash with him with the help of Kaibara while Todoroki and Dabi monitored the unconscious villain. Midoriya, taking a running stance, activates his quirk and in one go, launches from his starting point, leaving a crater in his stead. Using his quirk, he speed blitz past the normal speed, exceeding 100 miles per hour back to the hideout. Wait for me, Tsuyu, please. Present time. You are doing good. In just a few more days' time, you will be able to move about again, a voice echoes across the room. Thank you, doctor, I'll just rest in the meantime. The doctor bid his farewell to the scruffy long-haired man as he leaves him alone for the night. Good night, Aizawa, I will check up on you again in the morning, as he closes the door, leaving the blind man alone to his thoughts. I can't see anymore. My quirk is no longer able to be of use. How will I continue? Can I even teach anymore? Maybe I can use this opportunity to retire early. But, my class. Reminiscing about the class he would dreadfully bring himself to attend and teach, he would always find it to be an annoyance but also quite intriguing as he found the potential in the class do, and for once, he actually looked forward to the progression of his students. But because of the betrayal of Midoriya and some of the students, he's been robbed of that opportunity to do that. Mr. Aizawa, snapping him from his train of thought, he hears a feminine voice through the dark. It was similar, but he did not understand why she was here now. Eri, he mutters. After a brief seconds of silence, the young girl regained her courage to respond. I came to visit you, Mr. Aizawa-sensei. Why are you here? He can hear her tiny legs get louder as she gets closer. I'm with Big Bro Mirio. He's waiting outside as I asked him because I wanted to do something for you, she says with a soft voice. The ruffy old man grunts in confusion. Help. Me. How? Can I take off your bandages? She asks. Aizawa with a firm voice denies her request, but that only belittles the young girl as he could hear the slight sniffles coming from her. Even if he lost his eyesight, he can still imagine her crying with a sad expression. Why, do you want to heal me? Eri wipes her tears away as she regains her composure. You always stayed by my side and took care of me. I want to repay the favor. Please allow me. I can control my quirk pretty well now and I believe I can use it to regain your eyesight. Regain my eyesight. Who told her she was capable of this feat? This could be dangerous. I do not need my eyesight to live life. I can't allow myself to take advantage of a child for my own benefits. Are you sure? He asks, ignoring the back commentary of his guilty conscience. Hearing a little sense of approval cheers up the horned girl as she clearly shows her confidence in her ability. Eri waits as Aizawa unwraps his bandages. He opened his eyes expecting to see Eri, but there was nothing. With Eri's perspective, he can see the dull gray pupil in his eye with his stone-cold expression. Okay, hyping herself up, she places her fingers gently on ACH side of his head. She paces herself to sharpen her focus so that she does not overdo it and control her powers. Aizawa can feel her power activating and altering the inside of his head. It felt uncomfortable, but he can feel something within his head turning and pushing out. Eri's power control is only limited to the shape of her horn, and as of right now, she holds a great control in her power and the size of her horn. She needed to focus on what is hurt and what needs to be healed. Nothing more than that. It did not take long before Eri broke away, breathing heavily from the amount of work she put in. I think I did it. You can open your eyes now. Even with her reassuring words, he was still a little too afraid to see the results. If any case, he did not de-age to his younger youth or even to non-existence. Eri crawls closer in curiosity to see the result, but the old man was yet to show it. Please open your eyes. Slowly, he opens his eyes. The first thing he noticed was there was color other than the shade of black. Given that it was blurry, it took a moment for his eyes to readjust, and the first thing he was able to see was Eri with her confused poker face. I can see. You can see. Launching her tiny body to his chest. The old man catches her so she could lay on his chest with a soft landing. You have color in your eyes again. I'm so happy for you, Mr. Aizawa-sensei. Eri cheers with tears in his eyes. He wraps his arms around the young child and holds her tightly to his chest. Thank you, Eri. After a brief moment, they break away as soon as Aizawa can clear his eyes away from the waters. I appreciate you coming here, Eri, but why visit me so late? Eri pondered on that question and she responded back with high cheers. I wanted to come here because he told me I could heal you. Aizawa stood confused and asked if it was Mirio, but she shook her head. No, it was Big Brother Deku to thank for that. Deku, Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya talked to Eri. What? This is bad. I have to get her out of here. Eri, Midoriya, in a panic, he tries to bring Eri in without raising suspicions, but it was too late. So it worked. Aizawa pans his attention towards the open window where a young man in a white formal attire and black vest is sitting on the edge. Big Brother Deku. Eri leaps off the bed as she carelessly runs to Midoriya's side. The young boy leaps off the window to kneel down and embrace the young horn girl. Eri, get away from him. Aizawa screams in a panic. His sudden loud tone towards the dangerous threat scares the child, finding shelter within the per se dangerous man. Why are you yelling, Aizawa-sensei? Are you mad at me? Tears forming in her eyes. No, Eri, Midoriya is dangerous. You need to get away from him. Eri, but, Midoriya, Kurogiri, give me some space with only Eri and me. Heeding his order, a black mist surrounds the two, leaving Aizawa and his desperate plea of warnings to tone it out. All there was left was Midoriya and Eri confronting around a black mist. 1. Eri, Big Brother, what is happening? I'm scared. 2. Midoriya, do not be. This mist is a friend of mine. 1. Friend. 2. Yes, I made many new friends. 1. That's good because friends keep you from being lonely. 2. That's true, and right now, I need your help. 1. My help. For what? Midoriya kneels down lower to where his eyes meet hers on an equal level. I have a friend. Her name is Tsuyu Asui, but you know her as the hero Froppy. Eri jumps as she remembers on her own. Ah. Big sis Froppy. I miss her. Where is she? Seeing her jump in joy from the mention of her only hurts him more. Well, you see, Big sis Froppy is hurt really bad and you are the only one who can save her if you use your power. Her optimistic attitude slowly sullens to a more depressed one. Big sis Froppy is hurt. Where? How? Although this slow pace of conversation wastes time. Right now, gaining her trust and aid is far more important, and with the help of Kurogiri, we can cut the travel time between two places. Providing more time. She's with me and my friends. I wanna take you there and have you tend to her, please. Although with a convincing argument, Eri still hesitates as her confidence in her power dwindles. She Was confident with Aizawa because Eri knew what she was up against, but now, she doesn't know and actually does not want to run the risk of hurting someone important to her. I don't know. What if I hurt her? At this point, it was either this or death, and he will not allow her to die under any occasion. Midoriya takes off one of her gloves as she takes one of her hands and places it on top of hers. Upon feeling his touch behind the leather, Eri felt the moisture of sweat within his arms, but more importantly, he can feel his hand shake greatly. Big sis Froppy is very hurt, Eri. She is very sick and it might be to the point where she might go bye-bye. I can't lose her like this, holding back his emotion. Speaking to her in a very playful way, his desperation and sorrow were able to seep through in his words as he could no longer hold it back when he was too focused on not crying at that moment. 1. Eri. Big sis Froppy, you care a lot about her. 2. Midoriya. Yes, I care about Froppy very much. I can't lose her. Will you help me? 1. If Big sis Froppy means a lot to you, then she means a lot to me too. 2. Hee, I'm glad to know that. 1. I will help you. I want to save her too. 2. Thank you, Eri. Pulling her body close so she doesn't see his tears escape, he felt the warming sense of hope within the accepted aid. Truly, I am grateful for your help. You are my hero. Aizawa panics as the black mist fades away and Midoriya is seen embracing Eri in a hug. Get away from Eri, he shouts, leaping off his bed to land a ground pound. Even with him deactivating his quirk, he reacts well enough to dodge the punch and lands near the window. 1. Aizawa, let Eri go. 2. Eri, no, I am going with big brother Midoriya. 1. What are you spouting, Eri? Midoriya is a bad person. A villain. 2. No, he wants to save a friend. My friend. 1. I can't allow you to leave. Come to me please. 2. No, I am going with him to save our friend. To be a hero. Midoriya looks down at Eri and almost has a sense of pride as a small smile tugs across his face. Aizawa only looks in disgust. This is going too far, Midoriya. Using Eri, what is your intention with her? Balling his fist tightly. I thought little Eri told you. She is coming with me to save a precious friend of ours. Nothing Moori, he teasingly mocks, only angering the old man. 1. Aizawa, you scum, don't feed me such lies. 2. Midoriya, and do not utter such light words, calling me a liar. You only pissed me off. 1. Eri is young, she is not yet ready to use her power. 2. And what did you do? Once you realized Eri could give your eyesight back, you leapt on the chance to be able to use your quirk back. 1. But. 2. I don't want to hear any more hypocrisy from a mid-tier hero. Be grateful my hypothesis was right and you got your eyesight back. 1. You used me as a test subject. How could you? 2. How couldn't I? I needed to test the length of her powers first before trying it on one of my comrades, and thanks to you, I know now. 1. You. 2. Thank you Aizawa-sensei. I'll catch you on the flip side. Midoriya then turns his attention to the young girl on his lap. Are you ready? With a light smile, she nods innocently. Midoriya holds her tight within his arms as they get ready to leap out the window. Midoriya don't. Running at the two. Hey Hagakure, we're leaving. Just when Aizawa was within range to grab Eri, he felt a sudden pressure pierce his stomach. The force felt as strong as a usual punch and it brought up some injuries he was not yet fully healed off. Someone clearly punched him but she was nowhere to be seen. Damn, Toru Hagakure. Hiya, Aizawa-sensei. If you want us to survive, you better bat your eye away from me. Falling off the window, Aizawa sprints to the window to find nothing on the floor. They disappeared and he does not know where. Turning his attention to someone else, he opened the front door to find Mirio and every other nearby doctor and security got knocked out on the floor. This is Hagakure's doing. Alone, she was able to take out not only Mirio but everyone else who seemed to pass by. To think, Midoriya was able to get the leg up on him again. He stares back at the window ADN to his unconscious friend. He lost Eri, but not all was lost as the first thing he noticed in the room was a lone glove. He picks it up and remembers this leather glove belongs to a certain green hair boy. Maybe I can use this. Yaoyorozu and Todoroki lay Asui on the couch nearby, awaiting Midoriya's return. Do you think we'll make it in time? Todoroki asks. Yaoyorozu tends the sweaty girl with dry and wet clothes to keep her temperature in check. Her fever is only getting higher. It's already 2 hours in. The poison probably spread in most of her body now so. Ah! Asui screams in anguish, scaring Kaminari and Todoroki. Hey, she's shaking a bit violently, Kaminari chimes in. Yaoyorozu takes action with the help of Kodai and Kaibara as they push Asui to her side and try their best to tend to her condition with as much as they know. Her time is running short. Shin watches from the sideline, tied up and alone in a corner. Only an hour and a half left and he is still not yet here. Soon enough, she will arrive in hell sooner than me. The psychotic villain mutters to himself. The team tunes him out to focus on the task in hand. Todoroki, please make more ice and keep her under normal temperature. Abiding his friend's request, he musters up a cold breeze to tend to her sickness and puts her to sleep as frogs naturally sleep under cold weather. After her painful shock, the team tended to her condition until her body was able to relax and fell back to sleep. Phew, we were able to calm her down, wiping her sweat off her forehead. Now that Asui has fallen back to sleep, Todoroki and Yaoyorozu stood by her side while the others put Shin to the side where he was of no bother. Hey, the tall girl looks to the side. What is it, Todoroki? Kaminari, Kodai and Kaibara also heard the whiff of the conversation between the two and decided to eavesdrop between the two. 1. Todoroki, you saw what Midoriya did, didn't you? He's not the same guy back at UA. 2. Yaoyorozu, I don't think none of us were ever the same when we left. 1. But the way he acted. The way he let out his rage. Doesn't that not scare you? 2. Should it? 1. Quote. I don't know. We all care for Asui's safety so anyone would have gone ballistic but I've seen things he is capable of it. 2. Are you scared of him? 1. What I wonder is, if one of us would get badly hurt, would he react the same way he did for Asui? Not only Yaoyorozu but Kaminari and the others who were listening nearby also took a whim of his doubt to the team and made them wonder. Would Midoriya do the same for them? Would he run the distance and be willing to do anything for them? I don't personally know Midoriya all that well despite being in the same class with him for over a year but, balling her fist, I know he is a good man. Every situation the class finds itself in, whether it is between villains or against other classes during exams, he would put others before him countless times and manages to save so many people that I lost count. Even now, I fully trust him and will gladly put everything I have in order to help him for his cause. Hearing her heartfelt speech, he can actually find some common ground in her words as he also does feel the same and too is willing to offer his strength to fight for him. We follow him because we believe in him. We chose this path, even without her influence, right? The heterochromia boy looks at the young girl with soulful eyes. Yaoyorozu could only smile. That's right. We chose to follow this path with our own free will. So let's trust in him and give our support in any way we can. Having to experience the closure with not only himself, Yaoyorozu but also with the others who eavesdropped nearby, they are reminded that their loyalty should not be faltered as they admire him as the ideal hero for this world he was going to change. Time passes by until they hear a whooshing wind. A black portal opens behind the two, popping out Midoriya holding Eri's hand. Little Eri, Yaoyorozu yells in joy as she opens her arms up for Eri to get close. Ms. Yaoyorozu, it's good to see you. While the two girls play catch-up, Midoriya meets up with Todoroki halfway. You manage to get her. With a light smile, he converses with the half-in-half boy, yay. With her help, we can save Suyu. Having this back-and-forth conversation brought back the nostalgic sense of when they used to be back in UA. This normal conversation reminded him of the Midoriya of back then. Innocent, caring, gentle and kind. And, it felt good. Where is Big Sis Froppy? Eri looks back to Midoriya. Turning his attention elsewhere, he grabs her hand as they walk together to the sleeping frog girl. How much time do we have left? Midoriya asks. Kaminari steps up to notify them they only have less than 30 minutes. With such little time left, Midoriya did not seem that worried as he lightly talked to Eri who seemed to be a bit pumped about using her powers. Can we really put the life of our friend to a child? Kaibara asks. Although it was a tad bit rude, it makes sense to question as he along with Kodai do not really have the chance to get to know Eri. Nonetheless, Midoriya doesn't display any form of worry as he puts all his trust and faith in her. Eri kneels to touch the bereskin of the unconscious girl. She's getting cold. But I can do it. I want to save my big sister, she proclaims and that reassures the green boy. You can do it, Eri. Midoriya personally requested a private room where only him and Eri can be alone with Asui. To help Eri as much as he can, he personally took off Asui's top but left her bra on. Trying to remain focused and not get flustered, he couldn't help but acknowledge this is the first time he ever touched a girl's bareback skin. Feeling the softness of her skin, he couldn't help but get a bit excited. Eri, hey, big brother, why is your face turning red? Midoriya, I'm not used to this. Focus, Izuku. Finally pulling her uniform out, he places it to the side. Okay, bring me your hand. Midoriya guided her little hands to the point where the syringe was and where the poison was injected. Place your hand here and make sure to give the best warming hug you can. Okay, Eri listened, and from each point, she placed one of her hands on the wounded back and the other along her waist as she held Asui tight to her chest. I will save you, big sister. Eri remained quiet as she used her quirk in an attempt to heal and revert her state of being before she was poisoned. Midoriya watches Eri's progress, but it was taking a bit of time. With 30 minutes to spare, Eri has been working for almost half of it, and Midoriya's patience soon loses as his worry begins to flourish. Eri, I don't mean to pry, but how long will this take? A selfish request. He fully knew he won't get an answer because the young child is too focused on the task at hand. Do not worry, big brother Deku. I will save big sis Froppy. Tears escape her eyes. I have to save her. Midoriya watches as he puts his faith in Eri's power. Ever since he saved her from Overhaul, he made sure to observe and learn more about Eri, not just as a person but her power capabilities as well, so he can have a better understanding of her power and can possibly help her understand it as well in order to control it. Midoriya, the key to controlling her power is to synchronize her heart with the person she is using her quirk on. The closer she is with that person, the more effective and better control she has on the quirk. When I saw her use her quirk on Aizawa, I believed 63% of the time, Eri would come out with a success and she would be able to heal him because they were close. Now this may be different with Tsuyu, as they did not have a strong profound bond as Eri has with Aizawa-sensei, but she clearly cares about her. To get the best possible result, I wanted to tell Eri how much I care about Tsuyu and how much she meant to me. If she understands how important of a girl woman she is to me, maybe that would affect her in a way where her power is at its fullest potential. This has to work because. Opening parenthesis. I truly do care about you, Tsuyu. Hoping his feelings reach out to not only Tsuyu but also Eri. Midoriya watches helplessly and hopes Eri could feel his inner turmoil for someone else. Ah, Eri finally opens her eyes as her horn grows larger than it had with Aizawa-sensei. I found it. Building upon his hope, he watches as the wound Eri has laid her hand on slowly disappears. Is it working? After a bright beam of light from her horn, Eri was blown back from Asui's body. Midoriya acted quickly and caught Eri within his arms as he tanked most of the drawback damage. Eri, are you okay? He asks concernedly to the disoriented child. Eri, in response, giggles to herself as she looks up. Meeting his emerald green eyes with her scarlet red ones, she displays the widest smile he has ever seen her show to anyone. I did it. I saved big sis Froppy. She did. Hearing her say that out loud and proudly, Midoriya couldn't help but tear up as he brought Eri close to his body and hugged her tightly. We did it, big brother Deku. We saved her together. While she remarks on her hard work, Midoriya could not express how happy and grateful he is to have Eri by his side. You did it, Eri. You saved my friend. Thank you. Thank you. He continues to relate those two words as Eri giggles to herself as she relishes in her achievement. Hearing a faint groan from the distance, Midoriya catches a whiff of the sound and looks up from his embrace. Clearing his blurry eyes from his tears, he sees a lone frog girl sit up with her eyes a bit droopy from her slumber. Big sister Froppy, Eri calls out. Grabbing her attention, she turns her head to find Midoriya and Eri hugging, and Midoriya in particular, having his face covered in tears. Why is he crying? Hey, wanna meet up with her? Eri nods gladly as she holds onto Midoriya's hand and together, they walk to where Asui sat. Izuku, the amphibian girl called out, but he did not respond. Tsuyu stares into his eyes with the weirdest look on his face. Izuku then drops to his knees as he lets his body topple over her way. Tsuyu catches him, but due to how heavy he and his suit is, it overweighs her strength and Tsuyu flops back to the floor with Izuku laying on top of him. Having the broccoli boy suddenly on top of her startles her reaction with her face blushed in complete tomato red. 1. Tsuyu. Huh. Wah. W. What the? Hey, Izuku. Would you please get off me? 2. Izuku. Where is the poison? How are you feeling? 1. Huh. What poison? 2. What poison? Hey, you're fine. You're safe. Thank God. Suyu tries to get him off, but his arms wrapped around her waist pretty tightly as she can hear a faint snore. He's sleeping on me. As much as she likes the situation she was in, she still does not understand what is going on. I saved you, big sister Froppy. Eri then chimes in. Save me, Suyu. Eri, what are you doing here? Big bro Deku says you were very hurt, so I came to help you. I healed you and now you are safe. That's when it clicked. She then remembers Shin shooting a syringe at the back that contained poison that he described was lethal. Putting it all together, Izuku probably brought Eri in to use her quirk to reverse her condition to the state of where she did not have it. Never had she thought her power could be used in such a way. You saved my life? She questions. Eri sat close to the two, nodding her head playfully as she smiles. Yep. Me and big brother Deku saved you. Feeling an unbelievable sense of joy, she could not hold back her tears as she extended her hand to the back of Eri, pulling her close. Knowing that these two went so far to save her, no words could ever express the amount of gratitude she holds for these two. Thank you, Eri Ribbit. Thank you, Midoriya. You guys are my heroes. Chapter 10. The Raid. Kaminari. Do you think this is going to work? Todoroki. We wouldn't go this far if we weren't sure. Kodai. That's the thing, none of us are sure. We don't know the extensive potential of this, Eri, girl's power. The only ones who relatively know her or are close are Midoriya and Asui. Kaibara. It's not like we can do anything. Asui is practically knocking at death's door and we can't afford to take her to the hospital. This is the only choice. Hagakure. Well, I believe in Eri. Despite her young age, with Midoriya's guidance, she can pull through. Yaoyorozu. And that's all it's needed. I believe in Eri and Midoriya. For her sake. The group, apart from the League who are overseeing their captive, waits outside the door to where Midoriya, Eri and Asui reside. The longer they wait outside, the more unsettling the room becomes as they continue to hear agonizing screams from the room, differing between the painful screams from Asui to Midoriya. With the team patiently waiting, enduring the longful result, the moment the door creaked open is when they stood up on their feet. Sweating drops from their neck, with some looking forward to the end result while the others look away, too scared if Midoriya would come out with her. Emerging from the dark room, Midoriya carries out Asui, but the way she was being held out gave Yaoyorozu and the others the impression that it did not work. Midoriya, is Asui? Hagakure asks, but her trembling voice makes it hard for her to call out her biggest fear. To reassure the team, the lone boy with green hair looks up with the widest smile he ever showed to the team. Having each point curved to each point of his cheek, they can almost see the tiny dimples beyond his freckle-soft face. It was a success. Really? Unable to believe what she was hearing, the invisible girl took the first step forward, extended her gloved hand to the unconscious girl. Asui. Are you with us? Caressing her silky hair, the head twitch startled the clear girl, causing her to step back a bit. Toru, is that you? Pulling her head up, with her droopy eyes from being a bit sleepy, she is able to see, or technically not see, where her face should be. Trying to hold herself from tearing up, just seeing her move freely of pain made her not think about the intense seizure she had hours prior. Suyu, not being able to control herself, she leaps at the opportunity to embrace the frog girl. Asui, it seemed I worried you guys. I'm sorry. Midoriya flings to the side while the girls, including Yaoyorozu and Kodai, tend to their comrade in need. Along with Yaomomo, Kaminari and Kodai in tears of joy, Asui then realizes how much her friends treasure her life, leading up to her losing control of her emotions and crying out just the same. Todoroki approaches Midoriya along with Kaibara, who, despite not showing much emotions for their comrade, still hold the same expression of both relief and gratitude for not only Midoriya but Eri, who hides behind Midoriya. Is this the girl? Kaibara asks, eyeing down briefly to the timid child. This is Eri, do you wanna say hello? Midoriya kneels down to the shy girl. She looks at him with doubt in her eyes, but Midoriya made sure there was nothing to be afraid of. Along with big sis Froppy, these guys are also my friends. Giving her the reassurance she needed, Eri walks up to introduce herself. Hello, my name is Eri and I go to UA to learn to control my powers. I like sweets and pop music, and, as she introduces herself to the group, she recollects the little things she likes involving the times she was at the UA festivals where she was genuinely happy and having fun. Midoriya watches as she slowly opens up as Kaibara and Todoroki continues the friendly conversation where she feels comfortable around. Eventually, everyone opened up the cutesy little child. Thank God the League isn't here, or at least Dabi, maybe Toga as well. It's already been 4 hours. Her innards should be a mountain of goo at this point. Still mumbling to himself, Yasuga Shin remains tied up while Dabi, Twice and Toga play to themselves while waiting for Midoriya. Hey, Dabi. Twice, do you think they'll be able to save their friend? She asks gleefully, effortlessly tossing and twirling her knife like it's some circus trick. Dabi, while also playing with his quirk by igniting a small blue flame upon his fingertip and repeatedly extinguishing it, remains silent as he minds his own thoughts. I hope the amphibian prick does bite the dust. She's pretty cute though, and Midoriya and the group seems to care about her. But still. To hell with those brats. Twice then points out his own duality opinion about the situation. Even still, the two knew beyond his mental issues that he displays his genuine concern for the kids. You guys are villains, right? The infamous League. Why are you guys working for that little brat? Where is Shigaraki, the prize pupil to the boss? Shin then shifts his topic to something that interests the League. Shigaraki is dead. Midoriya personally killed him. Dabi was first to speak up with an irritated response. What? How? He's dead and you do not consider getting revenge? Although it was a reasonable reaction to the death of their supposed leader, the three individuals thought of it in a different way. Everyone. Why should we? The faces of each of the former LOV seemed like the death of their leader had little to no impact. They moved on so easily, and for what? What was the purpose for Shigaraki's life? Dabi, why would I care for an immature little shit who was over-obsessed with taking down All Might? You, among all others, forget that we did not join for his cause but were inspired to act upon Stain's ideals and influence. Shigaraki happened to be along the line of where we could achieve change in this world, but all he ever wanted was total destruction. A simple like-minded thought could only bring him so far. Toga. He was funny and useful, but he was even cuter when I had the chance to cut him up to bits and pieces. Twice. He was a fine leader for a common goal. But he was too short-minded in the long run. So that guy can piss off, eh? Yasuga Shin. So. You merely only used him for what? Personal gain. You never truly were on his side. Isn't that what we do though? Although he couldn't believe what they were saying, Dabi only smiled with the most crooked and twisted smile. We're disgusting trash tossed aside from society. We only became this way due to the unfair treatment of the world, so, yay. We will use anyone and everyone we see fit so that the change of this world would be more beneficial for us to be accepted. Dabi then approaches the tied-up hostage. And if Midoriya is the man who has the power to do it, then I want to see how far he will go. Cause after all, we're villains. Midoriya then opens the door along with the team. Dabi was first to lock eyes with their leader and he displayed a serious expression. Yasuga Shin took a small peek and what he saw went beyond everything he had expected. What? How? Why the hell are you still alive? His loss in confusion and frustration causes the young frog girl to look up to see a broken villain completely losing his composure. My poison is lethal, deadly and perfected from my quirk. So how the hell are you still alive, huh? You should be dropped dead with rotting chemicals burning every single organ in your body. Asui did not react nor felt any hate or aggression. Instead, she continues to stare at the old man with pity. Did you hear what I said? Midoriya carries Asui off his shoulders and asks that Yaoyorozu take care of her in his stead and kindly asks to take her along with Eri to their rooms where they can rest. Doing as she was told, she along with Kodai escorted the two girls out of the warehouse, leaving the rest and Shin. Midoriya can now take on Dabi fully. I heard and I understand. You did not fully trust Shigaraki because of his obsession for all might and destruction. I'm not like that because unlike him, I am willing to burn this city to the ground if it means rebuilding it from the ground up. Whether my actions will prove beneficial to you or not, I want to change the world into something where even people like you are accepted. Dabi only stares off, but he couldn't help but feel like in his words, action that he could actually make his promise into fruition. Being put into a position of where he was actually sympathized made the atmosphere a bit awkward between the two. Sigh, if you can prove it, then what more can I possibly ask for? Midoriya thinks that within the lines of his words express the feeling of trust he was able to gain from Dabi and the League. Having an equal understanding, Midoriya now is able to focus his attention on the clearly distraught man in his trench coat. Kneeling down to his length, he smiles as his intention was to brag about his accomplishment. So, nothing ever seemed to go as planned. You got 3 of your bodyguards dead, got yourself captured and held to our mercy, and even worse. You couldn't even follow through with your last attempt at a Hail Mary and even failed to take one of my comrades along with you. Talking in a sinister mocking manner, he forcefully jogged his memories about the previous fight with Midoriya and remembers how absolutely helpless he was against them. Thinking back on it, Midoriya couldn't help to contain his sadistic side and let out a few giggles just by reviewing Yasuga Shin's struggles. Honestly, Mr. Shin, do you not realize how futile your efforts are? I mean, you couldn't even kill my fellow comrade. How do you feel knowing everything you tried failed when you went up against us brats? Each word he spouted weighed tons under the villain's mental state, but he was stronger amongst most men. Unlike Garaki, Yasuga Shin was not about to get shown up by a child. You think you're tough shit, huh? Your precious frog almost bit the dust due to your weakness. Now, because of your lack of awareness, you were forced to bring in an innocent child. Hee, so you tell me. Before he could say another word, a hand grabs onto his face, gripping tightly to the point he screams out in pain, and in one, he smashes his head back to the ground. Being able to use his right eye, he can peek his face through his fingers and all he could see was absolute anger. Careful of what you say next, Yasuga Shin. Mention Suyu again and I will personally see to it that your death does not go smoothly as it should have. The strength Midoriya produced was so intense that Shin was absolutely certain his skull was cracking from the inside. Had he not begged for him to stop, he was sure the young idiot would kill him by accident. Why wait? You need me alive, don't you? That's the point of capturing me. You cannot kill me now. When Midoriya was not responsive, Shin then turned to his teammates to plead for his life. Explaining his importance for his life and the various personal information he could give, he was willing to give everything to save his life. But what he saw were countless pairs of eyes staring stone cold to his soul. Kaibara, wait, you thought we wanted to keep you alive? Todoroki, from the start, we always intended to kill you. Kaminari, but Midoriya wanted to halt that plan so he could personally have a word with you. Dabi, don't get the wrong idea, moron. Disregarding whatever precious inside information you have towards your coworkers and all for one. It was clear you are more useful dead than being kept alive. Midoriya, because, you see. Shin darting his eyes back to the monster holding him down, Midoriya could not help but break a small smile in glee. When he hears the word of your death, he would be forced to move and come to us anyways. As inconspicuous as it was, Shin could only compare the same amount of fear he feels now with this kid to one other man. No. You do not intend to mess with him. A simple nod from the broccoli boy struck fear to the poisonous villain, causing him to squirm in vain. You do not want to mess with him. Please, let me go. I do not want to be a part of that anymore. But you already are, Midoriya chimes in. Reaching to his back pocket, he pulls out a small pistol he holds in reserve, whether you like it or not. You are still forced to work for him because he considers you to be an invaluable asset to his plan. Whatever that is. Pointing the gun to his forehead, he twirls his pointer finger around the trigger. Literally playing with the concept of death. Quote. Knowing you are dead would cause him to come out of his hiding hole. These kids are insane. Midoriya, are you guys done yet? Kodai and Yaoyorozu return after putting Asui and Eri away from the act and allowing them to sleep. Grabbing his attention away for a second, hey, how's Suyu and Eri doing? Thinking they could go up against him. Who do they think they are? Eri is with Asui in her room. They are sound asleep, do not worry. Midoriya was able to find comfort in Yaoyorozu's report, smiling and sighing in relief. Stop this. Let me go. Now before you die, save me the trouble and cooperate by answering this one question. Depending on your choice, I'll have your death be slow and painful or quick and painless, as much as you don't deserve it. It was at this point where Shin did not know who was more of a monster. The potential he sees in this young man's eyes is completely dark, filled with many psychotic natures. Now tell me, where is the true successor of All for One? Breach. With no time to respond, the large sliding door leading inside the warehouse blasted open, alarming the group. Midoriya and his group rush immediately to the storage to find a SWAT team. Pushing in, they pushed in from the back. Kaminari interjects. Midoriya remains under pressure to observe as he was not sure how the police were able to track him down. We've been compromised. We can't let them discover Yasuga Shin or else everything we worked hard for will be for naught. Todoroki walks up to his side. Hagakure scanned the whole warehouse. The police got this place completely surrounded by hearing news of pro heroes coming here in less than 10 minutes. With everything gathered from Todoroki and Hagakure, he comes to the conclusion the only way for their possible escape will be through Kurogiri. As much as he does not want to go down that route, he is their only option. Get Kurogiri to make a portal now. I have to go back and get Yasuga Shin. I'll meet you guys back at the living room. Breaking the plan down, Midoriya ventures off on his own while the rest follows Kurogiri down the hall. Zipping past the hallway, he slams the door open to find Shin cowering in the corner. It seems I broke him, oops. Not wanting to hear his annoying whining, Midoriya forcefully picks him up as they head down the hallway. Meeting up with his team in the living room. Hey guys, everyone here, accounting everyone including Sleepy Froppy and little Eri. Eri waddles her little feet to his left leg, tugging on his suit with a bit of concern. Big bro Deku, what is happening? Her tiny voice echoes her fear and worries as she is yet to understand. Kneeling down, he places his hand above her head, patting it softly and giving a sense of warmth to ease her heart. Don't worry, Eri, I will protect you. Hearing his kind words always manages to cheer her up even under stressful circumstances. She did not need to know what was going on as she should not be a part of it in the first place. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Yeah, you should be. Following the unknown voice, Midoriya looks down to spot a creepy face. Mirio, reminiscing to the first time he met him was when he peeked through the wall. Only back then he was the jokester with an upbeat attitude. Now, his face was serious and angry, not wasting time for Chithat as he emerged from the ground intending to uppercut the broccoli boy. Naturally, Midoriya dodges it but also provides the distance between him and Mirio and Eri. Don't you dare speak to Eri that way, he growls. Midoriya only stares in a cold blank stare as seeing one of his old mentors and friends was the least thing you expected. You don't deserve that right anymore. 1. Midoriya, you should not have come here, Mirio. 2. Mirio, you should not have kidnapped Eri. 1. I needed her to save someone important to me. Eri understood that and came along with her own free will. 2. You manipulated a child for your own personal gain. No hero would ever stoop so low as to drag an innocent child into their own mess. 1. You talk to me as if I'm the bad guy. 2. Am I wrong? Eri looks up and she has never seen Mirio display such a serious face. Not since the incident with Overhaul. Watching her two saviors duke it out was the last thing she ever wanted. She thought that being with them would be different than when she was with the Yakuza, but Mirio was more than willing to solve this issue between the two with violence. Without even giving Midoriya a chance to explain himself. Midoriya was always nice to her and even now, she sees no problem as to why the heroes would go after him in such a hostile manner. It breaks her heart knowing Midoriya is in such a dangerous position. Stop. Eri struggles to break free from Mirio's hold. Catching him by surprise, Mirio lost his group and stood idly in shock as Eri ran to Midoriya's side. Eri, unconsciously opening his arms for her, Midoriya allows the little child to embrace him without a second thought to comfort the crying child. Eri, what are you doing? Get away from him, he's dangerous, Mirio shouts in a fearful manner. Eri looks back with tears constantly flowing through her eyes. No, you're wrong, Mirio. Big bro Deku is a good man. He would never hurt anyone without reason and, he would not hurt me. Although Midoriya appreciated the kind words, his concern for Eri only enlarges as she would be put into more risk if she chooses to come along with him. Eri, go to Mirio. You don't need to come with us. Thank you for everything you've done, but if you stay any longer, you would be in deep danger. Possibly even die. Mirio tightens his fist into a ball with anger as he could not even fathom how Midoriya can even talk to her in such a casual manner despite all he's done. Even now, you are spouting nonsense in her mind, huh? Snap, huh? Lighting fuses from the young boy's body as he gathers intense masses while holding Eri close to his chest. I've had enough of you assuming I manipulate Eri for my own personal gain. Midoriya whispers into Eri's ear and she immediately runs to Yaoyorozu and Asui's side. This intense pressure exerted from the young boy was even able to push back the pro-hero. You know what? Forget what I said. Eri is staying with us and you will not be able to do anything about it. With the two on a standstill, Todoroki and the others prepare their fighting spirit. We need to help Midoriya. As soon as he moves, we jump in the fray. Kaminari, do you even remember the last time we fought against him? We got demolished. Hagakuri, he never touched me though. Yaoyorozu, we improved a lot since back then. Kaibara, Sue, he's one of the big three of Uaha. Interesting. Kodai, Eri, stay behind me, okay. Toga, hopefully I can slice them all. Dabi, whether it be with Shigaraki or Midoriya. Our hideout always gets found out and raided. Twice, we're so fucking dead. Just when things couldn't get any worse, the wall behind Lemillion crashed down, a squadron of SWATs along with 4 more pro-heroes. Kamui, Najire, Midnight and Gran Torino push the scene along with Mirio by their side. Najire, Asui points out, accidentally catching her attention. Yo, Froppy, still retained her joyful attitude, but for some reason, something felt off. With just a few words, she could sense the dry emotions in her voice. Lemillion pulls his fist out in a triumphant pose, leading the other heroes behind him. You rogues and villains will be taken into custody. Justice shall prevail and you will be stopped. Rogues, huh? Even though the warning should strike fear or intimidation, Midoriya couldn't help but smile as he put his black crooked mask on. Him along with the others in the group puts on their respective masks as they also prepare to retaliate. Kinda like that name, Rogues. You think you can stop us? Come and try. Part 3 ended. Thanks for watching.